Good evening and welcome to Sports Today. Today's game Chennai Super Kings versus Rajasthan Royals, where last game was MS Dhoni's 200th game for Chennai Super Kings. This game is MS Dhoni's 200th in the IPL as CSK's captain. Well, both teams are coming to this game with a win on their side. And before we start today's conversation, before we start the pre match updates, let's have a look at Fan Five.
It's match day. Play fantasy cricket now. Get up to 2.5 crores daily and lots more. 20 times more. Win big on Fan Fight. This game involves an element of financial risk and may be addictive. Please play responsibly and at your own risk.
All right, I have with me none other than Boria Mojumdar. Welcome on board once again. Though you are the main face of sports today, but it is my duty as I am the host to welcome you again and again. All right, so Boria, we're gonna start talking about Nigiri today. And like, if Nigiri is available, should he replace Bravo? Because all the four overseas players are going well till now. So, what are your views on this? I think that they should not change their winning combination.
No, see, if Lungi Ngidi gets available, which is the case, he brings in a lot of firepower to that Chennai bowling. Because if you see at the moment, Dwayne Bravo is not the same Dwayne Bravo of 4-5 years back. And what Ngidi brings to the table, two things. One, he will hit the deck, he will generate bounce. Second, he can also move the ball and he will bowl in the power play at the top along with Deepak Chahar. And he will also bowl at the death. So at this point in time, if you see the last game, Deepak Chahar ran through the opponents in the first four overs, 4 wickets and killed it. Now, if you have Sam Curran who's bringing the ball in and you also have Lungi Ngidi to support Sam Curran. So basically the power play can be divided between Deepak Chahar 3, Lungi Ngidi and Sam Curran. The bowling becomes that much more meaty and Ngidi can then come and finish off towards the end as well, and he has done that for South Africa with tremendous success over the last couple of years, has done that for Chennai Super Kings in the IPL, including winning the IPL for them a couple of years earlier. So Lungi Ngidi becoming available gives the Chennai Super Kings a major boost. Third point is Ngidi's pace. Ngidi can actually touch 140. So it's important. I mean, if you see Shardul, if you see Deepak Chahar, if you see the Dwayne Bravo, if you see Sam Curran, again, very similar. Bowlers in the sense similar height, no one from that height to be able to hit the deck and generate that level of pace. So Lungi Ngidi brings that level of variety to the Chennai attack, which is very, very important. So according to me, and Dwayne Bravo's batting is not necessary. Why? Because if you look at that batting lineup, Ruturaj, Faf, Moeen Ali, Raina, Sam Curran, Ravindra Jadeja, MS Dhoni. So after all of that comes Bravo at 8. Now 8 you don't require. So clearly you can bring in Lungi Ngidi to bolster your bowling and make it a more potent attack. So if I think if he's available and ready to go, Chennai will give him a go.
All right. And also, since IPL 2019, Dhoni has scored 138 runs of 70 balls against left arm seam with only one dismissal. Since Rajasthan Royals has so many left arm paces in their ranks, do you see MSD promoting himself up the order?
See, that's $1 million question. I mean, every single day we keep talking about this, that where does MS bat? I mean, obviously the last game was different. When you're chasing 110, you don't need to come. Last game, they had a good start with Faf du Plessis going well and Moeen Ali coming and tonking the ball. I think Moeen Ali at number 3 has been an excellent addition for the Chennai Super Kings. And then you have Raina 4, Raidu 5, Curran 6. You have all of that firepower. Jadeja as well. So ideally for me, MS needs to come in at 4 or 5. So there comes Rajoshi. MS needs to come in at 4 or 5. That is his best possible position. Will he do that? We don't know. But again, what has happened in the past, don't forget, MS has actually not played any cricket. So in practice is a different ball game. In the middle, even in this tournament, he has batted just one game. So hardly any kind of batting time out in the middle for MS. To be able to say that, okay, he will be able to tonk the left arm seamers again because he has done so in the past is not fair. At the same time, Jaidev Unadkat was brilliant. Mustafizur Rahman was brilliant. It all depends on the wicket on Nisha. We've seen two kinds of wickets in Mumbai. One where the ball moves And we have seen Jaidev, we have seen Chris Wokes, we have seen a lot of these guys get movement, and it's a different wicket altogether. All of a sudden, the batsmen are in all kinds of problems. The second wicket that we have seen in Mumbai is a complete good batting deck like the one we saw last night. Now, it also depends on the wicket, what kind of a track we have at the Wankhede tonight to be able to give you a fairly conclusive answer as to where does MS bat. But ideally, if they bat first, I would still say, given the nature of MS's batting now, he should bat either at 4 or 5.
Well, not an update about today's match, but this is a good news for Rajasthan Royals that Archer has got permission for light training after undergoing surgery. So, do you have any news about that, Boryada?
Yeah, but they have not yet given any firm date on return, and the ECB has not specified any particular date where he can be match fit. So, while light trading is good, I don't see him getting rushed into action anytime soon. So that's being fair. Having said that, Rajasthan look decent with David Miller. They have Liam Livingston as backup. Their Indian bowlers are doing well, whether it's a Chetan Sakaria, whether it's a Jaidev Unadkat, and they have Mustafizur Rahman who is bowling well. They have Karthik Tyagi as backup as well. So the bowling is looking pretty decent for Rajasthan Royals. We've got to see if they can match up, because one day from Jaidev was great, but can he sustain that over a period of time? And one important thing for Rajasthan is Joss Butler needs to fire. If he does, then all of a sudden that batting looks much more potent with Butler and Samson and Miller and the others. And of course, Chris Morris has fired for them. So it's not looking too bad, despite the absence of Jofra Archer and Ben Stokes.
So, as you were talking about Unadkat, I feel that both the teams had a great outing in their last match, especially Unadkat and Chahar. So, but the pitch is going to be different tonight. So, it would be interesting to see that how they go tonight.
Absolutely. Rajashi, what is your take? I mean, will the Wankhede track assist swing again? Because the moment it does, Deepak Chahar becomes a handful. Unadkat with his slower balls coming in becomes a handful. And if it doesn't, last night, for example, the ball was going straight, you can hit through the line and the whole game becomes different.
Yeah, that's been the thing with these two venues in Chennai and Mumbai, right? You've seen alternating these surfaces alternating between spin and some runs in Chennai and swing and, like you mentioned, and runs in Bombay again. But having seen that game last night, I get the feeling that, that night could well assist some more swing, because I'm sure they're not going to be able to, they don't want to play on the same pitch, these back-to-back matches. You'd see a different surface. That happens, like you said last time, Boria, Deepak Chahar, Shardul Thakur, guys like these, they become that much more potent. They become a lot more effective. And Rajasthan Royals, though they have good seamers, good Indian options in their ranks, they will ask a few questions of the CSK batsmen also. But having, I heard the two of you talk about Mahendra Dhoni, Boria. Can I just ask a straightforward, straight shooting straight from the mouth? Is MS Dhoni the batsman past his sell-by date, and is he? That's why probably not very confident of batting higher up the order. Is that something that could also work through his mind? He's not the same player that he mind, but is he so sort of stifling the CSK setup with his lack of abilities with the bat at the current time, Boria?
Two parts to the question. Is he the same MS Dhoni? The answer, unfortunately, is a flat no. So I know a lot of people will say, what is he saying? Is he the same MS Dhoni? The answer is no. Does MS Dhoni still have the ability to be able to shine at this stage? I would say yes, because of two reasons. One, had he not had the ability to shine at this stage, I will give it to MS that he wouldn't have played. He's too proud a man. He's too proud a man to have continued if he did not believe in his ability to be able to shine at this stage. But yes, I agree. Even the last game, when the game was in the bag, why would you send Sam Curran? Why would you not come out? You could have come and batted for 10, 12, 15 balls. Nobody would have said anything. Just get your eye in, back balls out in the middle. Game time is important for an MS Dhoni. All of us want to see an MS Dhoni out in the middle, out in the action. It's important for CSK that MS Dhoni does so. So it's a tricky question you've asked. It's a very tricky question you've asked. Is he past sell by date? Maybe not. But okay, let's put it this way. And it's medicine time. Unfortunately, nothing is available in the country. I have been very low and depressed. I mean, over the last couple of days, seeing what is going on. around us in India. The IPL is maybe a distraction of sorts, but no medicines, no oxygen, no beds in hospitals. For God's sake, stay home and watch this tournament. Uh, so to answer your question, if the expiry date of a particular medicine is May of 2021, Dhoni is in April. So let's put it that way. I still think that last flourish is there, but he needs to come up and bat, because unless he bats, to expect MS to hit from ball one or ball two or ball three is slightly too much, I suppose, because this is not the same MS Dhoni as 5 years back.
No, and that's a very important question. And I'm sure now Boria's statements also, it will be talked about because as one of the most senior journalists in the country, his take on MS Dhoni. And then Boria, I feel there was sometimes no point sugarcoating around certain topics. And there is no disrespect to Mahendra Singh Dhoni. We have lauded him and celebrated oftentimes on India Today and Sports Today. And these are certain questions that have to be asked in view of what happened in the IPL in the last couple of 2 or 3 years, especially for MS Dhoni and CSK fans. But also, Boria, a word on the Rajasthan Royals batting lineup. Without Ben Stokes, we saw Josh Butler open with Manan Bora. I understand again that is conundrum because to have your best 3 or 4, that is how you line up the setup. But would you rather see George Butler and Sanju Samson just go out there and express themselves together as openers? With that something, and maybe David Miller bats one position up, Manan Bora at number? Is that something that Rajasthan Royals would be looking to do, given what comes after David Miller, even with Ryan Parag, talented as he is, Boria?
Very good question. Only I think Rajasthan will still stick to the lineup, but will they change Manan for someone like a Yashasvi Jaiswal? Because if you see the domestic competition where Prithvi Shaw and Yashasvi Jaiswal would open, Yashasvi Jaiswal did play some handy knocks. Last year he started for the Rajasthan Royals. He is an impressive cricketer. He has done decently well for Mumbai in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. No reason why you would not try a Yashasvi Jaiswal at the top. So maybe give him a game. Similar for Chennai, people are asking us whether Robin Uthappa will play. I think Ruturaj Gaikwad will get one more opportunity, because that is the MS Dhoni we know. He wants to give his players a bit of a long run. Ruturaj Gaikwad is not Manan Bora. Okay, Manan Bora has been there around. We know Ruturaj Gaikwad is talented. He finished off the last season despite COVID in a positive manner, finished off with 250s, man of the match performance. So Ruturaj will start for CSK is what I think might happen for at least another game. On the other hand, for Rajasthan, I wouldn't be surprised if I see someone like a Yashasvi Jaiswal replace a Manan Bora at the top. Possible. Possible, because then you have decent mid-order batting with Rian Parag and Rahul Tewatia and Chris Morris and obviously. But I would keep Joss Butler there, because a Joss Butler at the top exerts pressure on the opposition. A Sanju Samson at number 3 exerts pressure on the opposition. These are the two critical players in the Rajasthan, and Miller are the 3 critical batsmen in the Rajasthan lineup. The positive is David Miller is looking the David Miller we know, whether it is in the Pakistan series for South Africa, whether it is this IPL in the first game, that the way he batted, he's looking the David Miller that we know, and that is a big plus for the Rajasthan Royals.
Also, because we were talking about Josh Butler and Sanju Samson, Imran Tahir has an excellent record against them. So will Dhoni be tempted taking Tahir?
Good question. Good question. Again, option might well be between Lungi Engidi and Imran Tahir. But where are you playing and what kind of a wicket are you playing on? Because if MS Dhoni obviously will see that wicket, is it the wicket where, like last night, the ball was going straight on? The Chris Wokes kind of the first over from Chris Wokes, and I was on commentary, and not an inch of deviation. Yes, he tried a couple of scrambled seam balls also, but not an inch of deviation. And the previous day, if you see a Deepak Chahar, he was getting the ball to move. Think about the Mayank Agarwal delivery. Like this. Exactly like this. Late movement, which got Mayank bowled. That is what will influence the team. MS is one of the most fantastic readers of conditions. If MS sees opportunity for swing or movement, he will go Engidi. If it doesn't, that's when the decision becomes complicated. Because if Engidi is available and there is opportunity for swing and movement, with Deepak Chahar and Sam Curran both able to move the ball, outswing for Chahar, incoming left arm for the banana swing for Sam Curran, every reason to play Lungi Ngidi. So that's a call I think. Okay, ask me from the outside, I would say Ngidi favorites and only outside chance for Tahir. Rajoshi, with your consent, some questions, plenty of them, quite a lot. Hey, sir. Hey, Debarko, will Robin play? I've answered that actually. Boria, the personal question, why is MS Dhoni unsocial? That's how MS Dhoni has forever been. MS Dhoni has a very clear mandate that if he speaks to one, he speaks to all. And he said that to me several times. That look, when I came to the scene in 2003-4, there was not even one third of the media that covers international and IPL cricket now. So my point is simple. If I speak to one, I speak to all. Rather than that, I don't speak. That's been MS Dhoni. And that's a clear-cut philosophy. I don't see that as a problem. Abhijit Pathak, give a chance to Mahipal Lomror. Mahipal Lomror has been very, very impressive in domestic cricket. What Rajoshi said makes sense if you claim Mahipal Lomror. He will also do a couple of overs as well. So Mahipal Lomror plays, then Sanju Samson can open with a Josh Butler. That is a possibility with Rajasthan tweaking it around based on what Rajoshi just said. Rajesh student, RR, give a chance to Mahipal, answered that. Killer Miller, yes. Mr. Ghosh, MS Dhoni, I've answered that. Abhijit Pathak, I've answered that. So, Rajoshi, the question we were taking now, when you are, I've not done my 5 p.m. show because, again, I mean, I'm putting it on record. The reason I did not do was several friends are down with COVID, and a hell lot of people are calling just anybody and everybody and asking for a bed, asking for medicines, and can you help? It is so depressing and so sad and disappointing to not be able to help, because in Calcutta, like in all other cities of India, there's nothing available. So I wasn't able to give the fantasy team at 5 p.m. Rajoshi and Onnesha, both of you play fantasy. So let's do a fantasy team combined today. So
I
Rajoshi,
don't play fantasy.
you don't, so we will get you into fantasy. You are
We'll check.
so Rajoshi, how do you go about a fantasy team and you get it right when you don't know the condition of the wicket? Do you wait for the toss to make your team, or do you go about a 6-5 just to be safe? What are your thoughts?
I'd wait for the toss. Yes, 6-5 is a safe option now because again we're talking of someone like CSK and Rajasthan Royals, taking into account that this game is in Bombay. But again, we've seen two different kinds of pitches, different. So it'll be interesting to look out for the toss report, and that is something, in fact, also for our viewers. That is why you should listen to Sports and listen to Boria Mojumdar's fantasy masterclasses from time to time, and the expert list that we put out for you, because that's important to look out at the toss, the conditions, and the pitch report. So if the pitch, is something similar to what we've seen, where swing plays a crucial part, you'd want to go with the likes of Deepak Chahar, Shardul Thakur, Sam Curran, and then you look at somebody like Jaydev Unadkat. Boria knows a lot more about fantasy cricket. He's the guru. I keep learning from him every day, talking to him about fantasy cricket. Boria, is that the way to go about it? You're looking at some a place like Mumbai, then you wait for the toss and also look at the pitch report, and then assess your captain and vice captain, and maybe tweak those, make those minor changes towards the end to see how the teams are lining up.
Okay, so this is for someone like Onnesha who is starting out with fantasy. Divide your fantasy team into 3 parts. Divide your team. One is your must-have players. There are 11 players you have to take. So put a category in your mind which is your must-have players. The second category is your players who can, the USP players, who can come and change the course of a game, your USP players. And the third is your punt players, that okay, today I will sort of bank on this guy who has that X factor kind of thing and can come and really do crazy things for you. So that's my 3 different divisions, that must-haves, USP or most valuable player, and the third is the punt player. So the must-haves will be about 7. So when you take a Rajasthan Royals and a Chennai Super Kings, who are the 7 must-have players that you will have to have? Okay, so take Rajasthan Royals. Okay, take wicketkeeper. Most fantasy sites that you play will allow you between 1 and 3 wicketkeepers. From what you have seen of MS, he doesn't. And oh, by the way, fantasy, there is no place for emotion. No emotion in fantasy. So MS is an emotion. Will MS be in my team? The answer is no. No. Because I have not seen anything of an MS Dhoni to have him in my fantasy team yet. So who are the two wicket keeper options I will keep in my fantasy teams? Josh Butler and Sanju Samson. So I've got my two must-haves there. Okay. So now I move to the batsman. Now in my batsmen, who are my must-haves? Faf du Plessis, one. Now the question is between Ruturaj Gaikwad and Suresh Raina. Have you seen enough of Ruturaj Gaikwad to make you convinced that he will play? Maybe not. Maybe not. So Faf du Plessis is a must-have. David Miller is a must-have. Okay. So these are my two must-have batsmen. So I'm only going with the must-haves now. My 7 must-haves. Then I'll come back. So 2 wicket keepers I've given you, 2 must-have batsmen I've given you. Now come to the all-rounders. Who are my must-have all-rounders? One is Sam Curran, because he will get the banana, he will come lower down the order and tonk the ball. The other must-have can be Moeen Ali. Why? Because Moeen Ali is batting at 3. That gives him maximum number of balls in good nick. He's clearing the boundaries, coming and bowling his off spin. So Moeen Ali is a must-have. Sam Curran or Ravindra Jadeja. Now you take your call. If Sam Curran is not completing his quota, last day he bowled 3 overs. If he is not completing his quota, can he be a must-have? You've got to decide that. I will still go with him, but then I have to drop a Jadeja. So Sam Curran and Moeen Ali and Chris Morris. These are my 3 must-haves there. Okay. So 2 keepers, 2 batters, and here 2. 1-2 will be Chris Morris and Moeen Ali. I will keep Sam Curran and Ravindra Jadeja as part of the bank. So I've given you 6 players so far, plus a Jadeja or a Curran. Now coming to my bowlers. Who are the must-have bowlers? The 2 must-have bowlers are 1 Deepak Chahar, movement, so my 7, and the second one can be either a Jaidev or a Mustafizur. One game doesn't make Jaidev a must-have yet. Mustafizur has been consistent. So 1 there. Between the 2 is a must-have. So I've given you 8 now. Now who is that X factor? Like I said, the USP player who can come and do the job will be either a Sam Curran or a Ravi Jadeja. So Sam Curran turning the ball, batting at 5, tonk the ball, tuck, 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 can do that job. If what Rajarshi said, Samson bats at the top of the order. Okay? And we'll find out at the toss. The moment you find that out, then you can put in a Mohipal Lomror as that X factor kind of guy who will bat at number 4, number 5 like last season, bowl a couple of overs. That's my number 10 inclusion. And the final inclusion, who is an X factor USP player who can have a decisive impact if there is something juice in the wicket, is a Lungi Engidi. Bounce, movement, impact. So Deepak Chahar puts pressure. You think, okay, Deepak Chahar had taken wickets the last game, so I'll block him off or I'll play him out. Lungi Engidi comes and takes wickets and gets you 2 or 3 because he will bowl at the death. When you attack him, you will give him wickets. Can he be your X factor player? That's how I go about my fantasy team. This is the 11 that I will possibly go with. Now coming to captain, vice captain to close it out. Here the toss. If you say the captain says that there is movement and swing, 2-3 games you have seen power plays 4 down, 36 for 4, 35 for 4, 37 for 4. Go with a fast bowler. Movement players are unable to cope as your captain option and an opener, because then what is my mind saying? My mind is saying if the power play goes the bowling team's way, then 140 is becoming par. If 140 is par, then my top bowler will get me 3 and my opening batter will get me 40-50 runs. So my top bowler captain, opening batter vice captain. Tweak it around. If it's a great pitch like last night, very good for batting, then my opening batter, either a Josh Butler or a Samson or a Faf, becomes my captain, and a Moeen Ali, because of his all-round ability, becomes my vice captain. That's how I will go with fantasy.
Boria, that was, by the way, a fantastic explanation. But I also want to understand: is this IPL also slightly more complicated for fantasy? Because now that Bangalore have played 3 games in Chennai, when they play their first game in Mumbai, how do you go about making that team? Because you've not seen their players in those conditions. And again, Mumbai, like Chennai, has thrown up different conditions, like you just explained, whether it's a good pitch for batting or whether there is a movement and swing. Does that become more in a tournament like this with no home and away advantage? Because you have Bangalore playing 7 games at the Chinnaswamy. Not going to happen this time. One when you so how complicated does that get, and what do you do around that?
But that's the good part. That is when your skill in fantasy comes into play. It is not punting. So if anybody thinks that because Bangalore has won 3 games, every time Bangalore plays I will put in 7 for Bangalore and I will win, you will not win unless you do your study, unless you do your research, you know your conditions, you follow the toss, you see what kind of a track, you see who is suited for that track. You will not win, you won't win. So that is the obviously when you are taking Bangalore, you gave the Bangalore example. The 2-3 people in a Bangalore team that you will 100% have in a fantasy side are Glenn Maxwell, AB de Villiers, and to a degree in the bowling department, the way he's going about it and his credit points is Harshal Patel. So these are the 3 must-haves from Bangalore at this point in time, irrespective of conditions. De Villiers will play, Maxwell captain because Maxwell will come and bat at 4 and will also come and bowl. So Maxwell captain, De Villiers will bat low. So not every day will there be a collapse at the top, 2 down, Virat down, somebody else down. So yesterday De Villiers got more balls, but it will not happen every day. So Maxwell obviously the more potent captaincy choice because of the more number of balls that he is likely to play. And Harshal Patel is bowling at the death using the Yorkers low conditions. So these are the 3 players who come in. But other than that, don't just say Bangalore 3 out of 3 means I will put 7. If you do that, you will not win fantasy. So fantasy is largely about how much research, how much skill you have to know more and more and more about the conditions and then take that one punt. For example, Shahbaz. If you had followed Shahbaz and put in Shahbaz in that team, for example, Harshal, for example, Avesh Khan, for example, if you put in such kind of players into your side and you know what you are actually doing, you have every reason to win in fantasy.
So all those who are newcomers like me, this is how you should play fantasy. So what are you doing? Just go and download the app. It's fine. All right. So also from our team, from Trisha from Sports Today, she has got some interesting questions for you, Boryanda. So she has this question where she says, in 5 innings against the Super Kings, Butler has scored 216 runs at an average of 72 and a strike rate of 152, with 2 unbeaten half centuries and winning run chases. So Joss Butler would be looking to score some more runs today. What should be the game plan of the CSK bowlers to Butler?
Okay, so 2 parts to that answer. One, if you see a player who has that kind of an incredible record against a particular opposition, he's 100% your fantasy captain or vice captain. Because you know this guy is good against this particular opposition. Okay. Number 2, Joss Butler, you get him out at the top with movement. So Deepak Chahar and Lungi Ngidi unleashed against Butler, go hard, keep a slip, get him tempted, kill him there. First 2 overs, first 3 overs, put in a slip, put in aggressive fields to get Butler out. If you don't get Butler out and he gets 30 odd balls, he has the ability to take control and kill you. I'm sure MS will try that. But there are 3 parts to a bowler. One, thought and execution. And the third, so you've thought about something outside of outswing. Has your execution been correct? Or the third part is thought, execution, field. You have thought about something. Is your execution right? And do you have a field for that? This is exactly how Bharat Arun decodes the Team India bowling plan. This is Bharat Arun telling me for one of my books. That's what I passed on. So these are the 3 parts: thought, execution, field. That's what MS Dhoni will have to get right against Joss Butler.
Also, there is one more question from her where she says that Morris and Duplessis have an interesting head-to-head record. In T20s, Faf has been dismissed 4 times by Chris Morris. So Morris has been brought on as the first change bowler. Do you think Samson should open the bowling with him today?
Interesting. Morris versus Faf. See, both of them know each other because they both play for South Africa. Both Faf has been Morris's captain. Rajashi, do you buy too many these things into these stats against particular players like a Faf, because he's a versatile champion? I mean, and one of the best in the business. Would you give too much importance to this stat 5 times against Faf?
Yes, it is. Not in game time. It's sometimes interesting to look at combinations, but when you're analyzing. But then again, Boria, we tend to sometimes over analyze with numbers because you're not looking at current form when these numbers are just not They do not always reflect current form. They do not reflect current conditions. Again, this IPL, like the last IPL, they're throwing up different challenges. You don't have home and away. You don't have the home advantage. In the Middle East, you do not have your specific venue advantage. So not so much, not so much, because you and then you have to look at current trends more than the numbers. Look at what Faf du Plessis would have done in those conditions in Mumbai, and then when they move on to say the next venue, either Delhi or Ahmedabad, I'm not sure. But then you have to look at conditions, you have to look at oppositions and where they are playing. It's also important to see the trends at those particular venues, and particularly in this tournament, those trends are going to be late to pick up because this is not even the first half of the tournament. This is the first quarter, and it's this half, the first 20 matches are all going to be played in Mumbai and Chennai. So that's going to be a little difficult to go by numbers and Boria. Correct me if I'm wrong.
विकास मीना बार बार पूछ रहे हैं हिंदी में बात करिए, हिंदी में बात करिए। सर मैं आप फैंटेसी के बारे में पूछ रहे हो, मैं जल्दी से आपको बता दूं, आप टॉस देखिए, आप टॉस देखिए, क्योंकि हमारा ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं है इसलिए आपको बता रहा हूं। आप टॉस देखिए, टॉस में ये सुनिएगा कैप्टन से पिच का कंडीशन क्या है। अगर आपको सुनने में ये पड़ रहा है कि पिच थोड़ा सा ग्रीन है, उसमें मूवमेंट हो सकता है, अगर आप कैप्टन से ये सुने या जो टॉस कंपेयर कर रहे हैं उनसे ये सुने आप, तो वैसे टीम बनाइए। तो वैसे अगर मूवमेंट होगा तो आप दीपक चहार, लुंगी एंगीडी को टीम में रखिए, आप सैम करन को टीम में रखिए क्योंकि बॉल मूवमेंट होगा, आप क्रिस मॉरिस को रखिएगा, जयदेव एंड मुस्तफिजुर रहमान को रखिएगा। अगर आपको लग रहा है कि कैप्टन सर सेइंग नहीं लास्ट नाइट जैसे बॉल सीधा आ सकता है, इट्स अ वेरी गुड बैटिंग डेक, आप वैसे टीम बनाइए। और आप अगर आपको लग रहा है मूवमेंट होगा तो आप वैसे कैप्टन वाइस कैप्टन चुनिए, दीपक चहार को चुन सकते हैं, सैम करन को चुन सकते हैं, एंगीडी को चुन सकते हैं। अगर बॉलिंग कर रहा है राजस्थान तो आप जयदेव उनाडकट या मुस्तफिजुर रहमान को चुन सकते हैं। बट अगर आपको लगता है टॉस में सुनने के बाद की बैटिंग डेक है तो आप वैसे चुनिए। फॉर एग्जांपल जॉस बटलर को चुनिए, जैसे अभी अन्वेषा जी ने कहा कि उनका जो रिकॉर्ड है 50 प्लस एवरेज है, 70 200 के ज़्यादा रन बना चुके हैं, फिर आप जॉस बटलर पे कैप्टनसी दीजिए, या आप फाफ डु प्लेसी पे कैप्टनसी दीजिए, या आप मोइन अली पे दीजिए क्योंकि मोइन अली 3 में बैटिंग कर रहे हैं। सो ये जो मैं आपको सजेस्ट कर रहा हूँ ये मेरा सजेशंस है, इसको बाइबल मत मानिएगा, ये बोरिया का सजेशंस है। मैं 4 साल से हर रोज फैंटेसी खेलता हूँ, जीतता हूँ, एक आध दिन हारता भी हूँ, वैसे ही होता है फैंटेसी में। बट आप ये सजेशंस को सजेशंस की तरह से लीजिए और जाके टॉस के बाद आपका फाइनल टीम बना के जरूर खेलिए।
Right.
No, of course, this is, and Boria is also being a little modest here because he is a champion. Of course, this is not a 100% science. This is he's worked on this. He studied these. He understands this better than a lot of people. I have known in this country fantasy cricket. So thank you so much, Boria, for that lucid explanation, for making it so easy for beginners and also for pros who would want to understand what to do at toss time, what to do, keeping in mind the conditions and the pitch. But that's all that we have, by the way, building up to
But
this Chennai.
Rajesh, I would like to interrupt you once. So all those who missed today's show, which is 5 at 5 with Boria, you got to watch this show where he gives you the lead about fantasy, what to do, where to do, and how to do, when to do after the toss. Don't forget. And also, you have the pre-match updates of today's match, which is CSK versus Rajasthan Royals.
एक काम करते हैं, मैंने तो अभी फैंटेसी का एक फॉर्मूला बताया, पोस्ट मैच में आके आज फैंटेसी डिकोड करेंगे। चलिए जो देख रहे हैं फैंटेसी डिकोड करेंगे, क्योंकि ये मैं करेक्ट कह रहा हूँ कि गलत कह रहा हूँ आपको भी प्रूफ आ जाएगा, क्योंकि ये जो आदमी बोल रहा है वो तो बोल रहा है। सो करेक्ट भी हो सकता है, मेरा भी अकाउंटेबिलिटी रहेगा कि मैं आपको एक सजेशन दे रहा हूँ, चलिए वो सही दे रहा हूँ कि नॉनसेंस दे रहा हूँ, आपको भी पता लग जाएगा। चलिए हम तीनों आएंगे पोस्ट मैच और फैंटेसी के बारे में बात करेंगे कि जो सजेशंस दिया था वो करेक्ट हुआ कि नहीं हुआ। दैट वे वी विल बी एबल टू सॉर्ट ऑफ एनालाइज कि क्या काम कर रहा है और क्या नहीं कर रहा है, क्योंकि पोस्ट मैच शो तो हर जगह होगा, हर प्लेटफॉर्म्स में होता है। चलिए आज ये करके देखते हैं कि ये काम आता है कि नहीं आता है।
So
और 9 में से 10 बार, sorry Anisha, I just to interrupt you there, but 9 में से 10 बार Boria is usually correct. कभी-कभी एक आध बार, again like I said, this is not a 100% science, so it will be interesting to see at the end of the match. Yes, Anisha.
like कल देखिए कल मैंने मयंक अग्रवाल और शिखर धवन को कैप्टन वाइस कैप्टन बना के खेला, मैं जीता, क्योंकि एंड मैं जीता। मैं आपको बोल रहा हूँ पहला मैच में मैंने मैक्सवेल और डिविलियर्स को कैप्टन वाइस कैप्टन बना के खेला था, मैंने जीता। मैं तो पब्लिकली बोल रहा हूँ कि कल मैं दोनों मैच में जीता, क्योंकि मैंने मैक्सवेल को कैप्टन बनाया था, डिविलियर्स को वाइस कैप्टन, मैंने मयंक को कैप्टन बनाया था, शिखर को वाइस कैप्टन, मैं जीता। सो मैं बट ऐसा भी होता है कि मैं हार चुका हूँ, लाइक द प्रीवियस नाइट जिसमें आंद्रे रसल 2 ओवर में 5 विकेट लेकर गए, मैं उस दिन हार गया क्योंकि मैं आंद्रे रसल का जो फॉर्म देखा था, मैं आंद्रे रसल को कैप्टन वाइस कैप्टन नहीं बनाऊंगा। सो ऐसे भी होता है कि फ्रीकिश परफॉर्मेंस आ जाता है। सो चलिए आज फैंटेसी में रात को जब मिलेंगे हम लोग देखेंगे कि कैसे हुआ ये, ठीक है।
At times there can be unusual matches also. That was something which we didn't expect at all. Yeah, Rajesh.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it was again such a pleasure to discuss cricket with Boria Mujumdar, fantasy cricket as well as the real game. Also looking at Chennai Super Kings versus Rajasthan Royals. That will be interesting to see. Like we promised, we'll be back with you, of course, with the post match analysis and also to decode the fantasy tips you've heard on this evening. Well, I'll be back with you shortly for the 7 toss up race and the pitch report on Nisha. As usual, great questions. Korea, thank you for those lucid points. Thank you. We'll be back with you very, very shortly. And of course, for the post match analysis. Have a very good evening. Enjoy the game.